What's going on, friends, followers? Michael McFarland here. Going to give you a rundown for this week. I actually had Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday off of the water. Did not fish. Kind of had some weather and cancellations, and with that heat the week before and whatnot, I needed a little break myself, so it worked out just fine. Went back to work yesterday. Top half of this board's a little empty because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we didn't fish. Yesterday, in the morning, launched the boat, 82.7 at 6 a.m. Only did a half-day trip yesterday. When I came off, 83.4. Good water temperatures, but not where we should be for this time of year. It should be more like 84, 86, 87 in the morning, 90 by the end of the day. So we're slowly creeping into summer. And basically, June 22nd was the summer solstice, which is the longest day of the year. We are now shortening. Each day gets shorter and shorter. Okay? So things are starting to change. Yes, it's still summer. Yes, it's still going to get hot and hotter. We got July and August coming. The good thing on this, we're behind now. May carry us a little later into summer before we get the dog days. So hopefully, July is a little cooler, in other words, and August will be a little cooler than normal. We will see. All right, water visibility, clarity, 1 to 3 foot. Still very, very clear. Good green, Lake Fork green. Some of the backwaters are changing colors. Some of the areas where the temperatures most definitely in the upper 80s and 90s. Remember, these temperatures are main lake, the main body, and the first 18 inches of the surface. Okay. Lake levels, 402.74 yesterday, 402.72 today. Still very stable, very slow fall. It's a rate of flow fall and a little bit of municipal use. So that pretty much kind of gets it. Today's water parameter, 81.7, a little cooler than yesterday. 82.6 when we came off just after lunch. Again, nice for us. These fronts that still will keep coming, these rainstorms and whatnot, are keeping things a little bit cooler than normal. And it's nice for us, but I want that hot water so the fish will eat more often. The hotter the water temperature, the higher the metabolism, the more often the fish eats. And that really also drives that bait out of the shallow waters into the deep, into those deeper structure-oriented, shell bed-oriented, cooler places. Bunches those fish up, and instead of only catching a handful, we beat them up. All right? So we really haven't been beating them up. We've been grinding. We've been catching fish every day. Some days are better than others. That's fishing. For example, yesterday was a grind. All we had were cookie cutters. We didn't catch a fish over 4 pounds. Remember, a 4 to 7 pounder is a Lake Fork special. So we just had cookie cutters yesterday, and the numbers were even down. Today, with the Lock family, was awesome. Fishing was great. The size was down. The numbers were there, but we didn't catch any big fish. So all cookie cutters. Again, some guys hit and miss. The nighttime fishing right now is probably your most optimum if you want to catch a big fish. That seems to be where the biggest fish are being reported. And you're seeing frequent pictures, regular patterns from night to night, fishing night lights, fishing dock lights. And I don't do that. I'm just too old for that nighttime stuff. There are some great guides out there if you have any interest in that. Look them up. Mr. Randy Oldfield, Jason Kahn, Whit Smith. Go get bit with Whit Smith. You won't regret it. But that's after basically dark, okay, from 8 p.m. till 1, 2, 3 in the morning. I'm fishing daylight hours, and here's kind of the gist of what we're doing. You've heard it. So I'm throwing 3 main things that I'm focusing on. Again, no 2 days are alike, so potentially on one day I catch them with the football jig, and then the next day we don't. The next day is something different. But the football jig is a sand tone, 3/4 ounce football jig. I am back throwing Pake's perch. I mixed things up a little bit. I threw the JC craw. I threw the PB&J, peanut butter and jelly. But right now, the bass really are eating brim. The big bass are really eating the brim. And that Pake's perch is a perfect brim color. It's got a little orange, a little blue, a little brown, green pumpkin, striking rage craw, and or the rage craw lobster. Prefer the lobster for the big bite, but Sandtone football jig, that's one of the ways. I'm going to go through these two baits, I'm sorry, and then tell you what I'm doing with them, how I'm fishing them, what depths. And then we'll talk about some more. The other is the Sandtone football piglet. Okay, it's a stand-up shaky head. It's a 5/16 ounce. It is 5/16. Okay. Using the Magnum trick worm in basically 2 or 3 colors. Early in the morning, I'm using a dark color like Junebug. But once the sun starts shining, I'm getting to the watermelon candy, and preferably the watermelon candy red. And I absolutely am dyeing the tail about a 1/2 inch. Not much more than. Don't do it the whole tail. Don't do a whole inch. It's just too much. But I do about 1/2 inch chartreuse. Okay. Between the jig and the shaky head, I am actually putting the boat in about 10 feet of water, throwing out and dragging them uphill. This makes for a very unique presentation. Most of the locations that I'm doing that are shell bed oriented. They're hard bottom areas with shell beds within them. If you can focus on putting that jig or that shaky head in an active shell bed, an active shell bed's where the bait fish are feeding on the plankton, all right? The bass are coming to them, raiding them just like a deer feeder. So I'm focusing on putting the boat in 10 feet and having access to multiple shell beds, multiple cast ranges, and I'm staying anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour on each spot. I'm not even graphing the spots, I'm just fishing them. It's working out better that way. It seems that if I graph them, they leave, they get spooked. So I'm fishing them. The bites and catching keeps us there longer. All right, but basically put the boat in about 10, throw it out into 20 or so, and drag uphill. The small fish are being caught between 10 and 14 feet. The bigger fish are more like 18 to 22. Okay. Some days I'm finding that I'm having to go to the wood. All right. They seem to be suspending in the trees. If I'm on a main lake point with a lot of wood, I am not throwing the football jig. I'm not throwing the Sandtone stand-up shaky head because it just gets hung up too much. All right, so I go to a Texas rig. I go to a 1/4 ounce or 3/16, okay? Max 3/16, but a 1/4 ounce, even an 1/8 if you can get by. We want this worm to fall slow. I want this worm to really go slowly through those trees. You're going to be in the trees, in the tree tops. This Texas rig, weedless Texas rig, is the easiest, most efficient way to fish through those without spending the day getting hung up over and over and over again. Now, what am I using on that? I prefer a bigger worm. I want more of a ribbon tail. I want to slow the fall down. I found a worm that my client a couple weeks ago opened my eyes up to that does just that. And that is the Zoom Magnum Speed Worm. All right. Again, same colors, watermelons, watermelon candies, dip the tail chartreuse. When this falls, this tail really has a lot of thump and a lot of flashing action. So as this climbs the trees and falls back down through the trees, there's an awful lot of chartreuse flash, imitating brim, sunfish, and the big bass can't resist it. This has been the #1 bait over the last couple of weeks for the biggest fish, okay? In the wood, in the trees. Most of those fish are suspending in trees anywhere from 14 to 30 feet. All right, I found some fish the other day that were suspending. The water we were in was 28 feet, but the fish were suspending in trees at about 22 feet. Couple other quick things I want to share with you. Keep a whopper plopper on. Somebody is going to catch a giant fish if you do this. Somebody in your boat have one whopper plopper just sitting off, ready to throw. And the reason is there's some schooling fish coming up from time to time. There's some roaming open water fish with these Cloud cover days. We had fog for 3 hours yesterday. Cloud cover and rainstorms coming and going. The fish roam a little bit. You will see some periodically blow-ups on the surface. Most of those are the yellow bass and the white bass. All right. Long casting. It's a simple bait to throw along. You can throw it a country mile. Have it set up. You see some of that surface activity. Throw a whopper plopper, as Rhonda used to call it, the wobbler blobbler. But throw that whopper plopper, just a cast or two. Don't fish with it all day. Don't go looking for a bite. But I'm telling you what, you might get a surprise toilet flush. And I mean a big one. So have yourself a whopper plopper out on the deck. And that's the gist of how I'm fishing. That's the baits that I'm fishing, the choice of colors. Look, I'm going to show you something. Every single plastic bait, not hard bait, but every soft plastic bait, besides the Rage Craw crawler, or the Rage Craw, which is already impregnated with coffee smell, everything I throw is being impregnated with the real-time rod's magic reaction, okay? And this is how easy it is to use. All right, so this is my bag of worms. I'm running a little bit low. There's less than 10 baits in this bag. I'm going to add a new bag to it. 8 baits right there. All watermelon candy, zoom trick worm, magnum trick worm. I'm going to drop all 8 baits in that bag. All right. I'm going to take my magic juice right here. I'm going to squirt about 1/8 of a bottle. I really don't need quite that much because the bag has already been pretty good and treated. There's other baits in there. I'm going to shake that around. Get that liquid coated all the baits. Okay? Just like that. Once I know that I've coated the baits, I might put just a little bit more. Not much. It actually goes a long way. The more you use it, the more you'll get in tune with it. You realize how much you want. You can use more and make it stronger, but you don't really need to. All right, I got the liquid in the bag. Now I'm going to take my little salt. This is flour salt. Same thing. I'm going to sprinkle just a dusting in there. I don't need much. That's it. About 1/8 of a bottle on the liquid, 1/8 of a bottle on the salt. Mix that around real good. And look, folks, in the morning, that will be done. That will be treated and ready to go to work. There'll be no oily mess. I showed one of my clients the other day. I showed him this. I let him smell it first thing in the morning. I thought this ought to be interesting because usually all these fish smells and odors that we put, they're nasty, right? Man, that smells like Seth's crawfish. Oh, I want to eat that. My client said the same thing. When he smelled that, he said, wow, I didn't expect it to smell like that. No, neither do the fish. So, guaranteed, every one of my soft plastic baits, unless I can't have it done, I'm unable to do so for whatever reason, they will be treated with magic reaction from real-time rods. No oily mess. Catches more fish. All right, folks. That kind of concludes the rundown. That's what I'm doing. The biggest fish right now are being caught at night. Aside from a couple other guys that I know, Mr. Caldermeyer has a few big fish the past couple days. It's still a grind, and the offshore bite is still to come. All right, it still hasn't unleashed. It hasn't unloaded. If you enjoyed the show, you're enjoying it, learning things, please give me a thumbs up below. If you have any questions, any comments, also put them below. Appreciate you watching so much. Don't forget to subscribe. Find me on Instagram, The Lake Fork Guide. Find me on Facebook, Mike McFarland, or my business page, which is Lake Fork Adventures Guide Service. Please be sure to like and thumbs up. Follow me there. Other than that, God bless y'all. I wish y'all great fishing and stay healthy. I'm Michael McFarland, the Lake Fork Guide, giving you a Lake Fork rundown.